podcast right now. I'm going to go live on Facebook right now. Stand by.
Make sure you tag Gwen.
I did.
Okay. Man.
I tagged her 3 times.
Thank you.
Gwen.
Oh, was that live? Was that live saying that?
Huh?
Am I live right now?
Yeah.
Gwen, you got tagged. I promise you.
We love you, Gwen.
We love you, Gwen.
All right, cool. We're going to start recording on the mixer in 5, 4, 3.
Welcome to the Black Sheep Recovery Warfare Podcast, where it is our mission to debunk the lies of the enemy and announce freedom to those still lost in the darkness and addiction.
Welcome to another episode of Black Sheep Recovery Warfare Podcast. I'm your host, Brother Phoenix, and I'm joined back in the studio after a couple of week hiatus with Stacy Leggett. I did it again, Leggett.
Yeah, I'm sure it was an accident. It's fine.
Yes, it was. She is a new homeowner.
Yay.
So proud of her. We'll talk about that in a minute. But first, I want to recognize David Dillmore and Born Again Roofing Company. Thank you, David Dillmore. He's our gold sponsor this month. We are grateful for the opportunity to work with David and his ministry.
Thanks, David.
And I'm also joined in the studio with a close friend of mine, the legend, wait for it, Barry, Jordan Owens, and his son, Dallin.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us, man. Jordan is in the studio today to talk about not just his dark testimony. We'll get to that shortly. But the first thing we're going to talk about is his recent mission trip to Cuba.
Wow.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that too. And we'll start with Stacy. Stacy, you want to give us the good news, the praise report?
Yeah, I mean, I bought a house.
Woo!
From trap house to homeowner.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
It was a big leap.
I'm telling you,
and
man.
rather expensive.
God, it's so good. God be doing stuff.
Yeah.
Would you have thought 10 years ago that you would ever be a homeowner?
I didn't think I would be this year. I mean, I wasn't looking for a home, and my realtor was just trying to find me a place to rent, and she was like, "Why are you wasting your money?" I said, "I don't think I qualify." She said, "Hang on," and in 2 days they're like, "Yeah,
Dang.
qualified."
Look.
Thank you, Lord.
What's that? How's that saying? God qualifies the. I just saw it. Hang on, I got it right here. Somebody talk about something for a
He
second.
qualifies the unqualified?
Yeah, but I got a better version of it. Hold on, this one take a
Okay.
second. So,
I don't know.
I need you to prepare before the
yeah,
show
I
starts.
know. Here it is. No,
Yeah.
here it is. Here. The next time you feel unqualified to be used by God, remember this: He tends to recruit from the pit, not the pedestal. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good
That
stuff.
is good.
All right, Jordan.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what you do at the Point first. What do you do at the Point? The church, the Point Church in Brandon at 1120 Star. Is it Star Brandon Road or is it Star Road? Star Road.
Brandon.
Don't you go there, John?
I do. I'm pretty much regular there.
Okay, just check it.
It's always been Star Brandon to me.
Yeah,
I mean that's.
But it's either way, it's 1120 Star something.
Just
road.
GPS it.
It's in Brandon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in Google Maps. But anyway, what do you do on Star Road at the Point?
I tend to sit kind of close, like the third row up front, to watch Pastor Yim.
Pastor Yim?
That's what they call him in Cuba. Pastor Yim.
Pastor Yim.
Watch Pastor Jim do his thing. You know?
Okay.
But
what else do you do? Because I got a cool story.
I be singing.
You be singing
up there. Yeah.
Can you sing? Give me a couple of bars.
Van. Spirito Santo, van. That's it. That's all I got.
So
I think I owe you money.
My wife's gonna be laughing right now.
All right, story time with John Gallagher real quick. All right, my first visit to the Point was a little over a year ago, and I was sitting on the front row, and I'd recently just been going to the Foundry and stuff like that, but I got asked to go visit over the Point, and I'm so glad I did because I don't know if I would have become a member or even come back to another service had it not been for Jordan, and I'll tell you why. So I'm sitting on the front row, all right, and the worship starts, and I look up there and I see this Grizzly Adams looking dude up there and I'm like, I kind of start like, man, this dude looks like he's ready to, you know, I mean, this looked like a rock concert fixing to happen. And he did not disappoint. They broke off immediately into Lion. And I'm talking about this dude. I mean, I was waiting for a mosh pit to break out in front of the altar. And it was, I mean, so I'm like, I got to join this church. I've got to join this church because this is my background. This is the music I grew up on. And so that led me to become a member. And I remember that day, the worship hit me so hard that when I left out of there, I found, I asked somebody, who was that? And they told me. And I found him on Facebook. I sent him a friend request. And I went ahead and sent him a message. I said, dude, you are an anointed. I mean, you got gifts. I'm talking about you are amazing for what you're doing with the Lord. I know you don't know me, but I just wanted to tell you that. And I've been back almost every Sunday since. And like there was another time, and this was more recent, that Jordan was up there and doing leading praise, and it was the same song. It was Line. Well, no. I mean, it was Palmer. Yeah. It was Palmer. He was doing worship that day, and he broke off into Line starting off, and Jordan rushed out of the crowd, jumped up on stage, and started headbanging with him and singing with him. I was like, yeah!
This was on a Sunday?
Yeah. Yes.
Just
this was on a Sunday morning.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm telling you, it was like a rock concert when he leads praise. It's amazing.
We get it up, and I mean, it's just, I don't know. That's kind of my background in music, man. I like the heavier stuff.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And
I wouldn't have thought that looking at you.
I mean,
yeah, I'm sure you thought folk or jazz music,
for sure.
But yeah, and I've always liked the Brandon Lake and stuff like that. Like Brandon Lake,
we had some Black Sheep Warrior Princesses to go see Brandon Lake over in Birmingham a couple nights ago.
Man,
they posted some videos. Man, that dude, I cannot wait to get a chance to see him live.
Oh yeah.
Man. But
Jim told me I'd meet him one day.
You might.
Yeah.
You might be up there singing with him one day.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Can I go?
Yeah.
You'll give me like VIP and backstage and all that?
Cool. You got to wear a wig. You got long hair too.
You think you can get Brandon?
Start growing it now and you should be okay.
I used to have hair halfway down my back and a beard longer than his, and that wasn't too long ago.
Calm down.
Come on.
Okay, I believe
Why are you getting so mad?
Why are you mad right now?
We believe you can grow facial hair, you know?
Doctor?
No. We're not doing that today.
Do you think, hey, if you ever get the opportunity to talk to him, you think you come in the studio? Maybe do a little interview?
Wouldn't that be awesome?
It would be awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, would you tag Brandon Lake in this?
Yeah, for real.
But anyway, so at the point you lead praise and worship sometimes, and you just went on a mission trip to Cuba.
I did, man.
Tell us about that.
That's my second time going. I went last year too, and it's me and a group of buddies that kind of we went last year. We always hang out. It's four of us, and Palmer kind of got thrown in there with us.
Palmer was with you.
Yeah. I know.
Ugh, Palmer.
I know.
God.
Yeah.
The backlash. I'm waiting on it.
Yeah, he's gonna say something.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Let him say something. You
Yeah,
know?
I mean,
yeah.
look, man.
I'll shave his little spot right there on his head that he had.
I'm telling you,
Just
whatever that thing he's got going on in his head.
Yeah.
The group chat's going to be lit.
yeah.
No, we love Palmer, man.
Yeah. I have a nice picture from him from the backside when we were in Cuba.
I love the hat that he wore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a cool hat. I called him Cuban Pete all day the other day.
Yeah, we
He looked like Cuban Pete.
I don't think we want to talk about the price of that hat, but yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was kind of like, I like that hat, I'm gonna buy it. And it was
All right, enough about Palmer.
Yeah.
Enough about Palmer. Let's talk about Jordan Owens.
Yeah.
All right, so tell us more about Cuba.
Man, to sum it up, it's Cuba. I mean, it's so humbling to be somewhere like that, and just it's community, man.
Yeah,
and it's people that put aside themselves, and literally get into worship and the presence of God, like other, man.
From what I heard the other night, I went Wednesday night to the family night. Is that what they called it?
Yeah.
I think family night Wednesday night at the Point. There was some testimony, and my big takeaway from it was this: from what everybody shared, and I know you were working that night, but I'm sure you would have agreed with it, that people here in America take for granted everything that they have, and then do all the complaining about what they don't have and this, that, and other. And then, but people in Cuba, they have literally nothing and are like literally spirit-filled and grateful for everything and
Yeah.
and just full of love and peace and harmony. And it's like another thing that was brought up was like the presence of God down there is just so thick you could cut it with a knife from the worship.
It is, man, and the words they speak. It's just it's mind blowing, honestly, and for one to see how they live, because we do a lot of street ministry down there where we go and pray for families and stuff. And this time we went, and we were on horse and buggy.
Oh, cool.
It was,
Yeah.
and me and Palmer were on one with my buddy Brantley. I forget who else was. I think Frank Allen and his wife Wendy. I think they were with us. And but we'd go to houses and we'd pray for people and just kind of over anything that they needed prayer for.
I heard that there were some radical healings too.
There's all kind of crazy stuff in Cuba.
I need to hear about this.
Yeah,
And I say crazy stuff, but it's just like their love for God. You know, it's just something like they get it. You know, it's more like they grasp it a lot better than we do because
like their faith
that's their
is
only.
It's
only
like their faith is so strong that like the healings that take place are so I'm talking about like supernatural healing.
Oh yeah,
So
because you're at you think at the time that you were at the bottom or whatever, and like you pray for God to pull you out of that, you know. But that's something that they're stuck in every day.
Right.
Not that they're bad people or using or anything like that, but just
it's literally their lifestyle.
Yeah, their lifestyle, and it's like their only hope is Jesus.
See, that makes a lot of sense to me because I remember when I first got sober, and I had nothing. I had absolutely nothing, so it was really easy for me to make God everything because he was literally all I had.
Yeah.
And the longer that I've been sober, the more that I've gained, you know. I have to be more intentional about keeping God on the throne of my heart. I have to be more intentional about not trying to solve all my problems myself and thinking that I got it, you know, because look at all these accomplishments and look at all this success, you know, but
but were you capable of any of that?
Absolutely not.
Right.
And I have a long track record to prove that.
Yeah. But you walk into houses, you don't see TVs. You don't see like.
And we're talking about huts, aren't we?
Yeah. You don't see the world hitting them in the face. And I mean, a lot of times they just have like these weird shutter things over their windows that there's no windows. So I'm thinking, man, if a big rain comes through like we got this week, man, like you're sleeping in water. Yeah. But when we were out on the streets, I remember this one house we went to is this old man and old woman. She was 83 years old. And we prayed for her, and she was jumping up and down. Like 83 years old. I'm like, I'm 40, you know, I can barely jump up and down.
I'm telling you, my knees hurt.
Yeah, I'm old. I feel it. I feel old, I'll say that.
I'm not receiving that.
But go away. No. But after we'd pray for them, we would bless them with rice. Yeah. Because they're very limited on what they can get. They can't just go to their grocery store and say, here's this money.
Here's my EBT card.
Yeah. They hand them a card and they punch it and they're like, here's you couple pounds of rice.
Your portion
that you get for the month. Yeah. Like it's
better
wild.
make it last.
Yeah. And so when we were sitting there with this old man and old woman, I mean, they were just praying over him. They were telling us about their church, how glorious it was and how God does all this stuff. And they said it in Spanish, and I don't know what that means because I don't speak that. But
it sounded like you did, but anyway.
Well, just that's the only thing I know now. Which I didn't know what that meant till I got back. But so when we gave her the rice, we went back like to her kitchen area and took a tour, and she was telling us that she didn't have any rice. So it's just like, man, you're sitting here like jumping up for Jesus right now, and like rice is what they eat
all the time.
That's it. You know, I mean, rice and beans. Like you get tired of it when you're over there.
And they're grateful for it.
They're so grateful
so
for
grateful.
it. And it's just like.
Whereas here, you got a McDonald's on every corner.
Oh, man.
And you better get it done in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Or maybe
upset.
Yeah.
I mean, you got.
Oh, man. And the crazy thing about Cuba is like, you don't know how to plan things because you could be sitting there and they black that town out. They turn off every single bit of electricity in that town.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is the purpose in that?
Just it's money purposes. It's government, like, you know, like, oh, this place is
We're just gonna conserve and not give them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like you ride through a town at night, like when we were coming in through what is it, Monteza? I don't know. I probably butchered that, but somebody will probably right after. "Ain't you supposed to say it like that?" But anyway, the guy was telling us it means
Somebody's gonna get triggered.
it was something about it means like city of death or something. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. But like you're coming through there and you can see that like it's a nice town and we've been through it before, but this time you go through and it's pitch black. Like you can't see anything. There's not a street light. There's not nothing. And you're like, oh, it's a blackout. And I mean, just imagine you're in your new home and you're like, oh man, tonight I'm cooking breakfast for tonight, which is an amazing thing to do. But
Brenner.
yeah, you know, you're over there flipping your pancake and all of a sudden
Lights go out.
yep. And you have no idea when it's coming back on. So it's just, you know.
Stacy would lose her mind.
It would be really bad.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Really bad.
Yeah, imagine going to Seven Brew
See, that-
and they say, I
yeah.
can't get you a coffee because we don't have, you know.
Yeah, and think about this. Like, just recently we had, back to back, we had AT&T go down, and we had Facebook go down for a couple of hours, and people were losing
Yeah.
their minds.
Yeah. I
over
was
that,
I was in Cuba
you know.
when Facebook went down, so it didn't bother me.
I didn't even know it. I didn't even know
I heard
it
about
happened.
it. Yeah.
I was like, oh, well.
They told me about it when I got back.
I tried to log in twice and I was like, oh, okay, not for me today.
Yeah.
Just put it down.
Yeah. I mean, because sometimes
God be doing stuff. And he's
Uh-huh.
doing
Man.
something right now.
yeah, like, I've done a fast before where I fast from social
Yeah,
media.
I've done that.
And man, it's just like you got so much peace, man. And that's
Well, tell us about some of these healings. I want to hear some supernatural stuff.
man. All right, so the people with the church they were talking about, it's Pastor Sandy's church, which is one of the churches. We
I've
go
met
to
him.
over
He
there.
came.
Yeah.
He's come to the point.
He's got his little what we call the Pastor Sandy shuffle. He does this little shuffle thing, but he's got the power at that church. I've been to it several times. They got the best music over there. They don't have the best singer, but they got the best. Leah's the best singer. Leah, if you're watching, like she's pregnant. Palmer says she's having a boy. But anyway, so he healed. This guy came up in this. I think it was the Saturday night, it was a Saturday night, and this guy came up and he walks funny and has his whole life because one leg's longer than the other, and man, they got around that joker and they started praying, and his leg got longer.
That is
I don't know if
awesome.
I don't know if that leg got longer or that leg got shorter, but
something happened.
they the same
It was
size
obvious
now.
that something happened.
Yeah, and when he did that, man, something ignited, and this is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Pastor Sandy gets up there and he starts talking about the anointing, and he uses a water bottle, for example. And he like goes over here and he's touching people with his hand and nothing's happening. And then he talks about the anointing and he pours water on his hand and he goes and starts touching people and they're just falling out, man. Like just wow. And so he starts doing his little shuffle, man, and he's sitting there and I have no idea what he's saying. But you could tell, like you could feel it. You ain't got to know what he's saying. It's like somebody literally speaking in tongues when I hear Spanish. But
I have a question. What would you say to the skeptic
about the like being
miraculously healed?
You just gotta,
because here's the reason why. Because I think a lot of times, and we kind of lightly touched on this a while ago, but where we live at, we don't see a whole lot of that here, at least not in, mainstream Christian culture. Yeah. And so a lot of people hear that, and I think it's like, cognitively, I'm like, but I wonder how many people out there like, is that, so what would you say to them?
It's got to be a thing that, like, honestly, it's got to be a thing that you experience, like, you don't know God's love until you feel God's love, and you got to want to feel that love. You could pray for God to do stuff like that, but until you're in like total,
you just gotta have
faith, man. Yeah, and sometimes and it don't take much faith. They talk about
the size of a mustard seed.
Yeah. And that's tiny.
Well, I get what Stacy's asking. I mean, because in America, just like I guess it's because we're spoiled.
Yeah.
we have a lot more provided to us, you know, entertainment wise. I mean, it's a lot of distraction.
Yeah.
You know, so I think a lot of people feel like that they don't have that faith because they don't. You know,
They don't have to have
They don't
that
have
faith.
to have
Yeah.
that faith. It's like these people literally have nothing, and we have everything. So, I guess the presence of God would be much stronger there because their faith is so much stronger.
Oh, it is, and it's
So when they ask for healing, they get it because
Yeah.
that's all they get. You know, and we've
Yeah.
got so much here, like the doctors and the ERs and the Starbucks and the Facebook and all that. We
Yeah.
have so much already.
now they
you
do
know.
have espresso.
Oh, I bet it's
Which
good.
It's in a little bitty cup,
Like-
and
Probably grows hair on your chest.
Yeah,
when
like
you drink
Palmer
it.
brought me
Yeah.
back some coffee, and I ain't picked it up yet, but I
Oh,
can't wait to
man.
try it. But
yeah,
Brandy Fortenberry shared the other night a healing that blew my mind, and I have faith in this, and I believe it because I've literally witnessed a healing, you know, and I'll tell that story in a minute if we have time. But
it's my show.
she told
Shut up, John.
she told me that there was this woman that had scoliosis so bad that her spine was in the shape of a question mark, like literally, like she traced it with her finger, like, and it was like that. She said the Lord pulled her to start praying for her, and at the same time running her finger up and down her back, and she could literally, as she was praying in the Spirit, could feel her spine straightening up. And then the Lord led her, the Holy Spirit led her to start blowing up and down her back with her breath, like, you know, and she did that 3 times. And by the 3rd time, her spine was perfectly straight. And this
Wow.
old woman went to just about doing cartwheels. She was so happy, praising Jesus and praising God. I'm going to tell you something. That came out of Randy Fortenberry's mouth. I'm going to believe every word of it because I know her.
Mhm.
And I don't have to be present to believe that because I know that she's speaking truth,
Mhm.
Yeah,
and that is amazing to me.
I miss that because I was out front talking to the Norwegians
Oh, okay. There were no,
from Norway, right?
sure,
Aren't
sure,
they? Yeah.
sure.
There's 4 of them.
Yeah,
Yeah. We'll do a
Um,
lot of editing to this later.
But they were in the back. It was the people that were cooking for us. And when you go over there, and they prepare these meals for you, like they sit back and watch you eat, and it's weird because they don't even eat that. Like the way they feed us when we're there,
like kings, huh?
yeah, and they're like, you know, they want your whole month's supply.
So you felt some conviction the whole time.
Man, not
Yeah. Not really, but
yeah, because sometimes like when it comes to the meat, you don't know what you're eating.
don't eat the street meat.
Yeah, yeah. I found
Might be dog, might be cat.
there was definitely a tail last year.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Palmer's got the picture, which I took the picture, but yeah, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, man, it's just I went back there because at the time I was doing currency exchange, and I kind of had that up when I was there. But when I came back, man, I saw her on the ground, just convulsing. You know, just
She's being delivered.
no, I mean, just God was healing her, man.
Oh,
and you know, I mean, and when God's doing something inside of you, it's you know, it ain't like
It's not like you have any control over it.
yeah, and you don't just sit there because God's
Yeah.
inside you.
Yeah.
You know, which I mean, He's always, you know, the Holy Spirit lives with us, but when He's doing work like that, man, you can't help but
Express it.
yeah, whether it be in, you know, Jim hates when you say slain in the spirit,
Yeah.
but I guess I don't know the proper word to use, but out in the spirit, I would say. But yeah, it's when I was talking about Pastor Sandy when after he started doing the little water shuffle,
Yeah.
and doing the hands with this one was wet and this one was dry because this one was anointed and this one wasn't. That was like the representation. It wasn't, you know, really one hand's anointed and one's not. But he's sitting there and I videoed it, and all of a sudden he slings that bottle of water, and like every person that it hits in the congregation, it's just like they fall. I mean, it's just like, phew. And when they fall over there, they fall, dude. I mean, it ain't like
Somebody back there catching.
yeah. I mean, there is times where, like, you know, a lot of times when they start the ministry part of it, go out and minister, you have catchers. But when that happened, it was just like, that's where your face steps in.
Oh, my neck.
You know?
Oh, my
it's
neck,
like,
my
you
back,
know,
my neck and my
yeah.
back. I need a healing over here.
Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, and I've seen it. I've seen it.
I didn't know what was happening. I was like, cut.
Okay, stop. Yeah. No more.
No, what I was getting at was like, okay.
How do we recover from this?
All right, so you fall out and you crack your skull open because nobody caught you.
Yeah.
You know?
But I honestly believe that when that happens, man, like you don't, because I remember the youth, man, at the point, powerful, man, and a girl, I think it was Megan Wells one time, she went out and when she woke up, she was underneath a metal chair. You know, and it's like, how do you fall and hit the ground and you wake up under a metal chair, you know, and your head's not hurt and, you know.
My God.
You ain't,
Nothing but God.
you ain't bleeding everywhere, you know.
It's like a new life goal. Like I just want to be in the stream of anointing that knocks people out.
Yeah, but
like,
we
I'm
want,
okay
yeah,
with
but
it.
we want somebody to catch you.
I'm okay either way. Like
Yeah.
I'll recover. I've done worse.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Worse
And
things have
it's-
happened.
And I'll tell you, like,
You woke up under a car.
I woke up halfway through a windshield.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fine.
I did that not too long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
yeah.
Yeah, I did an 18-wheeler though. Flipped off a 150-foot ravine.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It was fun.
So the other thing that that I saw from the trip that it was so beautiful.
My hair, yeah, it was.
Yeah,
It was.
the braided hair. Yeah,
it was braided.
it was a lot better looking than that
Was it cornrows?
No,
it was
it was
like
almost cornrows.
box braids.
Yeah, he looked cool.
Yeah, I went to an African place and got it done. Where
Wow.
like didn't speak a lick of English.
Shameless TikTok plug, but if you go to my TikTok and you know, check out our videos, I made a video of this particular thing. Jordan and Palmer,
Yeah.
and Jordan's braids and Palmer's Cuban hat.
Yeah.
They were leading worship in one of these services. It was beautiful.
Yeah,
It was one of the most beautiful things I'd ever seen in my life, man.
that was it.
And like, so the camera, whoever was recording Jordan and Palmer, and it looked like there was just maybe 8 people behind them, so you couldn't see at first how many people were in there, but they were singing. What song we were singing?
Waymaker.
Waymaker. And literally watching it on the screen, I could feel the Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And then almost toward the end of the video, the camera pans to the crowd, and then you could really feel the Spirit moving, and you could see the Spirit moving in this crowd. It was just so beautiful,
Yeah,
so beautiful.
and like I think
Go check out my TikTok; you'll see it.
I may butcher this too, but that place is called Casa del Fuego. I think. Does that mean House of Fire?
I don't know.
Okay.
Just say it really fast.
House
and
of
it
Fire.
sounds like- okay.
House of Fire. That's Pastor Carl. That's the one that asked me and Palmer to like.
It's called House of Fire.
Yeah, but it's one. I'm
That's
telling you, you walk towards the door of this place
Mhm.
and you feel the Holy Spirit.
Man, I want to go
Yeah.
to Cuba.
Oh yeah, but like the street you're standing on, you know, it's just it's so crazy.
It's like walking down an alley, like a dark alley that you don't want to walk down, like in South Jackson or something.
Yeah, but in the daytime,
But in the daytime,
yeah, like
I feel
with
you.
it's oh man, it's wild.
And then you walk in, and it's like fire.
Yeah, it
wow.
literally, man, that's Pastor Carl. That's the one that asked me and Palmer to come for 2 months.
They did what?
Pastor Carl, he wanted me and Palmer to come for 2 months.
Are y'all going to Cuba for 2 months?
I mean, I can't, man.
Yeah, I got you.
I can't. I got a bunch of kids and stuff.
What were y'all going to do for 2 months in Cuba?
Man, he just wanted us there to like minister as the younger people and the youth and
Man,
the
y'all must
kids
have
and
really made an impression.
stuff
That's
like
cool.
that. And
Get invited to go to Cuba.
it
for 2
started
months.
last year, man. But that was a real like that was the most powerful thing I'd ever seen in my life last year when we went. I remember trying to get into we were at Pastor O'Bailey at his church, and we were in this little hallway, and we were praying and stuff, and we all got around, and every one of us prayed, and I remember, you know, people were praying for this, and my only prayer was, Lord, blow our mind.
Mm.
And to get to the living room, like their sanctuary, it was about the size of this room with 80 people in it, like just worshiping. And so I was sitting there, and I really wanted God to, you know, blow my mind and show out, you know. So I turned around, and I saw this staircase. And I'm like, I'm going up that staircase. God just showed me that. So I go up the staircase, and I walk out, and it's a brick roof of this house, because they can't build this way they build up. So it's got a foundation to build up higher if they ever wanted to. And I remember sitting there staring at the sky and everything, and it's just straight brick. And I remember looking at the sky talking about, just, God, you're amazing. Look what you've done here. Well, all of a sudden, I hear a familiar tune just kind of flowing out of the sides of the church. And I could just kind of like see it going through the streets. And it was Waymaker. I'm like, I know this song. I don't know what they're saying, but I know the words because that's a very catchy tune here. They kind of ran that one in the ground. So you knew it, And I walk in and they like start pushing me up there and Palmer's singing. And then Palmer gives me the microphone. Well, me and him start singing for a second. And then Palmer gives me the microphone. He's like, you do it. And me and Leah start going back and forth. And it was like a straight up Holy Spirit thing because like she'd sing a part in Spanish and I'd sing a part in English. And we would just go back and forth.
That's beautiful.
And it was just like insane.
Man.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. So we've talked about some of the high points. What would you say was the most challenging part of being there?
It's definitely the language barrier. Because you'll feel to pray for somebody. Like I prayed for this young couple, which the dude was actually supposed to tattoo us. He's a tattoo artist. And
it's better and better.
I know. Yeah, but they wouldn't let us go. Yeah, because that's not safe. I'm like, I'm from Jackson. Like, don't tell me what not safe is.
Have you seen my arms?
Yeah, I went from Jackson to Robin Hood. So, but
you might as well be living in Cuba.
But it's just like you feel so like led to pray for these people and have a conversation with them, and you try to talk with your hands a lot, and they have no idea because in Cuba, you know how we've like destroyed the English language with slang and stuff like that. That's what they've done to Spanish.
Wow.
So it's like, which I don't know regular Spanish, much less slang Spanish. But, when you're sitting there and you're trying to talk to somebody and you're like, man, God's telling me to tell you this. But you're like, hey, Yoel, Melissa, Ellie, come here.
Interpreters.
Yeah. So you got to get somebody to, and then you'll find somebody that speaks English very little.
But see, this is why I believe that speaking in tongues is real, because I have done that. I have spoken tongues. And there is no people have spoken tongues over me, and like it's almost an understanding, like you just know.
Yeah,
you can feel the power even if you can't understand what's being said.
Exactly, it's like you can feel it happening. You can feel it, So for me, and what I would say to the skeptic on all of that, and I know we weren't talking about praying in tongues, but the language barrier and everything, it kind of coincides. It's very powerful.
Yeah.
And you don't, like, with God, you don't have to understand it. It's just.
And when you're in the spirit, man, you're being so led that, like, he gives you, like, a different level of discernment when it comes to that. Like, if you're in it big time and somebody is speaking in tongues or whatever over you, to me, man, God will let me know quick, that's
it'll confirm it.
That show.
Well, I mean, the scripture says that it's in accordance with God's will.
Yeah.
So even if I don't understand it, I'm like, I agree with it. Like,
I receive that.
Yeah.
That's what the snake handlers say too.
Listen.
Well,
listen.
And then they get bit in the face.
Yeah, and then they die.
Yeah, and then they die.
So what are you saying?
Nah, that was just a joke.
Well, it sounds like y'all had an amazing time, man.
Man, we did, man. And it's just, everybody's like, oh, man, because you go over there and you get to love on people, man. And that's what it's about. It's just love, man. And we have what we have is so much, we take it for granted, and the way you can bless people over there.
Well, we just want to thank you for being the hands and feet of Jesus and going down there and showing them love. And I know you brought back some fire with you. I can feel it all coming off of you, just how passionate you are about it. And, I just wanted to take a moment to thank you for that. And Palmer and everybody else on the team that went. I hope, I have talked to Frank and I talked to Jim, like, that I would like to go. I didn't know I'm a felon. So, but Jim said he, felons have gone. He's taking felons down there too. And so I'm planning on going, but Frank whispered to me, he's like, "You don't want to go in August." Like I was like, "When's the next one?" He's like, "In August." But John, you don't want to go in August.
August, July. It's hot.
It's hot.
It's hot.
It is so hot.
Yeah,
it's so hot. So, before we move forward, I would like to thank again David Dillmore and Born Again Roofing Company. David is our gold sponsor this month. We are grateful for the opportunity to work with David and his ministry. We thank you so much.
Thanks, David.
Thanks, David. Thank you for supporting us. And so we're going to segue into...
my mom's is on.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Right there.
Is that Denise Coleman Blackwell?
That's the second mom I watched.
Okay, right on.
That's Mom.
Big shout out to Gwen. Big shout out to Ron Peoples.
What up, Ron?
Deborah Armstrong. Thank you for hanging out with us today. Thanks again to Born Again Roofing. And so now that we're done talking about all the great things that y'all went down there and did in Cuba, let's talk about Jordan Owens for a minute. Let's talk about how how you got to this point to where you are the hands and feet of Jesus.
I was born a poor black child. My daddy used to always say that, and it always kind of stuck with me over the years. But,
I can't.
yeah.
I can't.
I'm done with
We're having some technical difficulties, guys.
And Deborah Armstrong just said, "I'm so proud to be your aunt."
That's my aunt. Yeah, that's my mama's sister.
Did she post that before he made that comment?
Look, Robbie Faircloth, he's watching. What's up, Robbie? Yeah, Robbie's been doing big work for us. He's every truck stop he stops at, he leaves a Black Sheep Recovery Warfare
I saw that.
impact card on a urinal every time. Yeah, right in front of it.
I wish I'm a trucker.
This is such a good episode.
Robbie Faircloth, man. We went through.
You know Robbie Faircloth?
Oh my goodness.
I know Robbie.
We
Faircloth.
went through Crescio together, man.
Yeah.
We went through it together, and then we served it together. Yeah.
What is that? What did you just call that?
Crescio.
What's Crescio?
My stepmom's there right now.
Is she? It is this week.
I feel so in the dark.
Yeah.
What is Crescio? This sounds awesome.
It's a Methodist thing. It's a lot of chanting and but
sounds like sorcery and witchcraft. Chanting.
No.
I'm just kidding.
It's
joking.
really it's man.
Is it kind of like the walk of Emmaus?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I got you.
And
You really can't talk about it.
You're not.
I
Yeah.
I get it. Okay, I get it.
It's
But-
super hush hush.
All right,
Yeah,
I got you. Okay.
but I went through it with some Decalores. That's what he said. And
Yeah,
that's my mama,
Decalores.
Kathy Scott. That's my mama right there. What up, moms?
Right on.
Hey.
We love you, Robbie.
But Otis was with us. Otis Allen, Tim, rest in peace. He was with us, and Katie went through it with us. Otis's wife. And it's just a group that, man, we just kind of stuck together. We were all going to the point at the time, and then Robbie went after all his stuff went down.
Oh yeah. For those wondering that have not that doesn't know what Jordan's talking about, you have to back up about 3 episodes on the YouTube channel to watch the Robbie prayer cloth story. It's an amazing journey into darkness and into light. And check out that episode. But anyway, enough about Robbie.
Yeah,
Let's talk about you.
I'm sorry. Okay.
A deflection.
We love you, Robbie. We love you, Robbie. Doctor.
I'm 5 foot 8.5 inches tall. Just kidding.
I was today. What?
Huh?
Oh, he's
I'm not
giving a
tall.
description.
Yeah, I'm not tall. I'm not tall.
So back to when you were born.
Yeah.
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 On the day you were born, was it raining or was it thunderstorm?
No.
I was born on my mama's lunch break.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
she took a lunch break to do that?
11:58 a.m. Shortly after I was born, my mama threw me on my head.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Is that what happened to you?
What?
We're so sorry, Mom.
Yeah, that is what
Mom,
happened to me.
we love you, Mom.
She's probably gonna be at 5'8" on a good
She's
day.
probably
Oh,
closed the
man,
window
look
at
at
this point.
That's my cousin Max, and my wife's laughing at something. I wonder what she's laughing at.
Everything that we just said.
This whole episode.
She
has been a
to,
joke.
she deals with this every day.
Oh,
you
Lord,
know?
how does she do it?
She
She doesn't. She doesn't. She's probably packing her bags right now.
man, don't say that.
Oh, no.
I go home. She's threatening it.
So
look-
back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I like I said earlier, man. We were talking right before. Man, I grew up with a Bible in one hand and beer in the other. Literally grew up on the fence, and you know, two totally different families. I learned a lot from both sides. You know, I lost the first cousin on my mom's side to overdose, and my dad's side of the family, I really learned a lot about God. I never missed a Sunday, and went. Look at Max. Really, I don't know, man. It's like,
So on one side of the fence, you had addiction and darkness, pretty much, and on the other
Yeah.
side of the fence was what you know, the Bible and Jesus, and
yeah.
so and you were riding that fence, and
But
did-
and it really, not to hurt anybody's feelings if I say anything. It's my testimony.
That's right.
So it's nothing against anybody, but you know, I will say, my dad's side of the family, I was judged a lot.
Mhm.
You know, for being, I guess, different.
Mhm.
You know, I kind of beat to my own drum.
You don't say.
Yeah. But always knew.
So you were the black sheep, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Yeah, here I be. Yeah, when I got one like biological sibling,
Mhm.
my brother, he's 11 months older than me, and when we got to the age, he went into the ministry, and I went
Mm-hmm.
to the other way.
Yeah.
But I mean, just growing up, I mean, our parents kept us in church. My dad, he made sure that,
So you knew Jesus,
man, I did.
and then what'd you go do?
Man, just
You went to party.
Hang on.
Right?
I want
You-
to ask a question though. I'm
Uh-huh.
sorry, but because I have a little bit of this in my background too. Because I went to church and I knew the stories in the Bible, right? And I knew how to answer certain questions, and I knew enough to keep up in conversation if you wanted to talk about Jesus or Noah and the Ark or why we celebrate Christmas.
yeah.
But I could not say with certainty that I knew Jesus.
yeah.
'Cause you didn't
So I
have a
think that
relationship.
I think that there's a
there's
difference.
huge,
Right.
there is a huge difference.
So you didn't have a relationship.
I didn't have a relationship with, but I always knew, like, he was right there consciously.
right.
That kind of, I knew he had set me apart a little bit,
Mhm.
and I knew he had good plans for me, but following him was a lot.
Yeah. So you went the party route, but he was just chasing you down, is what it was.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah,
you know,
because I mean
you were just running from it.
yeah,
You're
and
running from your calling.
and it wasn't like you asked me earlier if I had a drug of choice, you know, and it wasn't, my drug of choice was a good time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it didn't matter what it was, whether it was drinking or doing drugs, and I did it all. I mean, I've done it all.
Worldly thing.
Yeah.
You chose the world.
Yeah. And you know, but it was never really grabbed a hold of me. I mean, to an extent it did. Like I had to change, like be under a bus somehow.
Yeah.
What
You
do
know,
you think
whether-
that you were searching for in the world?
Man, me, I was like, I'm a rock star, you know, and I just felt like I was gonna be this big fame, whether it was in sports, because I was really good at sports growing up, and I didn't find out till later. I say later, you know, later high school years that I could sing. I was always a drummer, and me and my dad and my brother had a little praise band that we played in. I played drums and would sing, and once I found out I could sing, but I got hurt my senior year playing football, and had a little short stint with OxyContin.
Mm.
And like before that, I mean, I partied.
It was party hard.
Man, party. And
You still had the choice.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I had a good friend, I think it was our 11th grade year. Maybe both his parents died in like a 4-month period. And they were at the time, they were really, really close to me. And you know, us being kids, we didn't know what to do but party.
Numb
you
the
know?
pain.
Yeah.
Run away.
Yeah.
And we did, and it was always, whether it was drinking something or snorting something or smoking something, just a high of some sort.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And after I got hurt and stuff, in the OxyContin deal, I remember one day just like, man, this ain't me. And it was baseball season at this time, so I was on the baseball team, and I was like, we had a Disciple Now weekend, and y'all remember that?
I remember those.
Oh yeah, like he don't know what we're talking
Yeah.
about. But
Go like spend the night.
oh
So,
yeah, like a whole
yeah.
weekend
Yeah.
thing, you know, and like you
Did
do
super
multiple-
wholesome and pure things the whole weekend.
Oh yeah,
Whatever.
yeah.
Lies.
But we was at Walker Hill Baptist Church and off Shell Road, and I'd gotten radically saved that night. And man, it was, I mean, I went from like party dude, loud, obnoxious, like ain't no telling what this dude's about to do, to
I would have never thought you were loud and obnoxious.
I know, right?
In a million years.
I know.
Thank God he delivered you from that.
For real.
I'm so
Thank
sweet
you,
and
Jesus.
innocent.
Praise God.
But I come to school the next Monday with a Bible in my hand, you know, and I'd not lived it.
Mhm.
I did. And I remember going to my baseball coach over spring break and telling him that I had to miss a game because I just joined my brother's worship team, and we were going to go do a Disciple Now in Alabama. And he was like, if you miss a baseball game, then you're off the team. And I said, I feel like this is what the Lord's calling me to do. I'm out.
Mm.
You know? And there I went, and I was head over heels for Jesus, man. And I turned 18 and met
Party.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like there's another part
Yeah,
to this
okay.
story.
Well,
So you turned 18,
yeah.
and then what?
So I met this girl.
Every good story.
Every. I was about to say something.
Yeah,
else,
every
but
good
yeah.
story.
Every bad story. No, I'm just
No.
kidding.
It's always a girl.
Oh,
Hey,
it,
now.
it is, man.
Always.
And it was through singing. My best friend at the time, his stepmom, owned a little place where she had like where she would teach dance and singing and stuff like that in Brandon. And we'd go up there and we were trying to start a little band. So we'd go up there, whatever, and my buddy brought this girl one night, and she heard me sing, and she was kind of interested because I have that effect. I'm just kidding. But
We're glad you're here.
yeah, man, keep me in check. That's when you're supposed to. But no, I'm just kidding.
So she was attracted to you.
Yeah, you know, which I mean, I don't blame her, but
I mean,
that's the
that's.
truth.
I mean, rock star look. You know.
Do you think that she was attracted to you or to your gift and the anointing that God had already placed on your life?
Oh.
And the reason that I asked that, well, here's why I asked that question, and I'm gonna try to be vague, but kind of in my experience, and also with just some of the circles that I've been in, I see that happen where people who are interested in following Jesus but haven't made that step yet come in contact with someone who is living for God, has an anointing, has a calling, has a gift, and they're attracted to that for reasons other than, hey, I think that I want to be in a relationship with you, I want to grow with you. It's almost like they're looking to be touched by God by being connected to you. And so I've seen those relationships fail miserably. So just curious.
She wasn't. Oh,
Doctor.
I don't think she was looking to be touched by God.
Good answer. Let's do this, PJ.
Thanks for clarifying.
No.
Yeah.
This guy's over here red as
I
some
know.
apple.
I know.
Are we talking about this dude's mama?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But I don't know. So it was just, I started hanging out with her and I fell off.
Okay.
You know, one of the first nights we hung out, we sat there and we talked all night long.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, she wants to know me and stuff like that, not knowing that she ain't been asleep in 3 days. She was just, you know, kind of coming down. And, you know, she threw every single red flag at me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, shoom, shoom, shoom.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. But back then, you know, we didn't know what red flags were, right? That just
I
happened.
thought it was a circus.
Yeah, that just happened a couple years ago, the red flags thing. But, you know, it.
You didn't see all the red flags? I thought it was a circus.
Yeah.
It was.
And it just, man.
So y'all got into a relationship and it went into a downward spiral from there.
It did,
pretty
man.
much.
And yeah, it just turned into partying and you know, it was right after I turned 18. At the time my dad, his drummer that the reason why I play drums, a guy named Morgan, had been my dad's drummer since I was a kid. And my parents, they got divorced when I was in the 3rd grade. And my dad, amazing dad, like every other weekend, never missed a baseball practice, game, nothing. He was a fireman. And he was in a bar band too. And so when he would play shows at the bar on the weekend, me and my brother were there.
Cool dude.
You know?
Like, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, he never drank, never smoked, you know. A really good example of what to be in a father. And I was blessed. My stepfather was just as genuine. He was stand-up good dude too. So I was blessed in that area big time.
Yeah, man.
As having father figures. Well, they were fathers, but yeah, when me and her got together, it was just, I don't know. It was more like a looks thing. Like I liked being with somebody who I thought was
Pretty.
hot, you know. And I'm from Robin Hood. I went to McLaurin, and this girl was like most popular at Brand.
So she was basically, what you're saying is like she was a 10.
Yeah.
And she was just a whole hot thing.
So
Yeah.
you're saying you were attracted to things that may not have been the most important things when it comes to what is a real relationship.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, because she threw every single red flag, and I was like,
Yeah, but she's so pretty.
yeah, you know. And
She's crazy, but she's pretty.
yeah, yeah. She was kind of like a Jenny.
Oh,
A Jenny. Just kidding.
who's you talking about?
Huh?
What Jenny you talking about?
I'm Forrest Gump.
Oh, okay. All right.
Forrest Gump. My magic. Baby.
So how's the relationship going?
I was like,
Let's go back to your story. How's that?
Our relationship? We
Well,
don't have one. I'm
no.
just kidding.
Let's just reel it in, guys. Reel it in.
Yeah. So of course,
I was trying to.
yeah, we
Did y'all get married?
yeah,
Mm-hmm. How long did that last?
6.5 years.
Mm-hmm. What happened?
Well, this guy right here, for one,
How dare you?
I know, 19 years old. I just bought a new car that day. I say new car. I bought a
It was
old,
new to you.
A new to you
old school
car,
Honda
yeah.
CRX, you know, and she was sitting there. We were talking in bed, and she was like, "You need to go to Walmart,
Oh.
get a pregnancy test."
Oh.
And I got a ticket on the way home for no insurance. At 19,
Bad day.
19. I was 19 years old, you know. And sure enough, we take the pregnancy test, and I'm like, "Oh my goodness,
There he is.
she's pregnant," you know. And I don't even know if I had a job at the time,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
Um,
And at this point, just to clarify, so y'all are married, right?
no,
Okay, you're not married. Don't have a job. Done turn your back on the Lord, pretty much. Living in complete sin again.
oh yeah,
And now you got a baby on the way.
yeah,
Bad decisions, bad choices.
yeah,
But we're glad you're here.
yeah. What year were you born? Oh, 03? Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
dude.
Because, I mean, it turned, 18. I mean, we were in bars all the time.
So was that the catalyst that prompted y'all to get married?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was definitely like this is the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's the right.
Mhm.
Yeah, sure. Because I mean,
Yeah.
like you've been
And
exposed to Jesus.
And we had been through some stuff together. Me and her had. I don't know if y'all remember on Terry Road. There used to be a bar called the Boardwalk.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah. Oh,
Do
yeah.
we?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're the same people.
Yeah.
Okay. So
We're all from there.
A buddy of mine got murdered there one night. Well, we were all there. In the parking lot, Ryan Yates. And it was just, I don't know, it's just one of them things that we went through together. Kind of, yeah. So then she got pregnant, and when she got pregnant, I was like, okay, dang, I gotta grow up, And I caught some slack from it, because of the way I was raised. Certain people give me a hard time because, oh, you're not married and stuff.
Mhm.
And, I'm like, well, you're not either. You're just luckier than me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, don't condemn me and judge me when you're doing the same thing.
You just didn't get caught.
Yeah.
Let me remove this log out of my eye. From
Yeah,
this speck in yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was the boardwalk. Many fond memories.
Yeah, that's Jenny. That's literally where I met her. Was at the boardwalk.
That's crazy.
That's my best friend in the whole world. Stop reading the comments.
I can't even read. That's the bad part.
I mean, look.
Y'all post pictures or something.
I'll read the comments.
Yeah. So she gets pregnant with him, and I'm like, you gotta do the right thing, get married and stuff, and so we did, and things started going pretty good. I had a decent job at a car lot, and she worked at a bank, and was making some right decisions. Had our own little apartment, and he was born, and it was all right. And when he was, how old were you? 6 months old.
You're supposed to know what he's talking about
Yeah.
right now.
6 months old.
Yeah,
you don't ask
you don't
him?
remember when you were 6 months old? I was changing your doctor one time. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, good. That's just a memory you don't want to have. But he was he got abused by the babysitter that was watching.
Oh.
Yeah. And she kind of lost it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, it was just, yeah, and it was never really right after that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens when we don't heal from trauma.
Mm-hmm.
It creates these barriers and these walls, and no matter how much we want to connect with the people we care about around us, and a lot of times connect with God, when we don't deal with that pain and we don't process that and move through that, we can't connect to people the way that we want to.
But it was also the longer we stayed together, the further away I got from God.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it almost ended. But then she got pregnant with my youngest son, which they're 2.5 years apart, right? And 2 years, 7 months.
Sure.
You're probably supposed to know that.
Sure.
12 hours and 33 minutes, something like that. Anyway, I don't know to the second, but to the minute. But she started using real bad when she was pregnant with my second one, and it was pills. She was pain pills, basically anything.
Which gets you a little further from God.
Yeah,
you know,
and
more walls.
It just after that. I mean, I remember he was born, and I remember working 2 jobs. I'd work at AAA Cooper, working the dock at night, and then I'd get off in the morning and I'd go clean pools.
So you were doing the best you could to be a good father and be a good husband, and it sounds like things just kept getting darker and darker and harder and harder.
Yeah, and I at the time I was not partying and stuff.
Yeah,
because I was like, man, I got to be a dad. You know, and then I started playing music. Then I got in this metal band with some good friends, and hit the road a little bit and did a little, mini tours and stuff like that. Fronting a heavy metal band. And then I remember I come home one day and it was freezing, and I got off work that morning, and I remember walking up to we lived in this place we call 8 Mile. It's a trailer park over in Richland. And
Southgate.
no, it was past Southgate down there on the right.
Okay.
We are the same people.
Literally.
Terry Lane down there.
Okay, yeah.
But all the guys at the tattoo shop lived there, so they were friends, and I got a bunch of tattoos. But so I remember there was an eviction notice on the door, and I was like, "Dang, man!" And my car just got repoed too.
Oh.
And then like I remember going in, and then we didn't have any electricity, and my ex-wife, she had like the hot hands that you use when you go hunting and stuff, whatever. Well, that's what we use it for. She had the boys wrapped up in that.
Oh.
Try to keep them warm, and I knew nothing but to go to my mom's house. So she took us in, and it just, I don't know, man. She got to using a lot more, and
Things just got worse.
Started
downward
being,
spiral,
being unfaithful, and stuff, and it just, like you said, and at this time when it got really bad, I knew what I had to do, and I was like, and I would get up and I would take my boys to church, she would, that'd be like Sunday was her day to kind of sleep off everything, and I'm not sharing nothing that he don't know, because when he turned 18 years old, I gave him the decision to look at our court paper stuff to see everything that had basically ever happened to us. But so ended up just, I couldn't handle the stress anymore of just the unfaithfulness nonstop and the drugs and all that. And so I, finally I had enough of it, and I was like, you know what? Me and my buddy Brad were at the tattoo shop getting a tattoo, and she came up there, and I was like, I'm just done. I was like, I'm done, and I just don't. Yeah, I don't want this anymore, because I felt like at the end of the day, I'd done everything that I knew to do to try to save my marriage, and to be the husband and the father that I thought I should be. I tried to get us back in church and stuff, and it just didn't work out. And I was 25. We got divorced, and boy, when we got divorced, like I said, I was married at 19. Yeah. So it just went like a free for all. Then it was just like, it's
like turning 18
time.
all over again.
Yeah, party time.
Yeah, and man, that's what it did. It turned into a party, and I was in the bars every single weekend, and women, and just
the life.
What I call fun. But at the same time, even though I was hurt from what she did to me, I always, and I still do, value the word husband. And in a way I felt like a failure. And
because you couldn't save your marriage.
And I'll never forget one night, I'd been months of partying, and one of my best friends, Amanda, she took me home from a bar one night, and I went to get out of the car as she was leaving, and she like stopped me. She was like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, fine. I'm having a good old time, woohoo." And she like sternly like, "Jordan, you okay?" And I like broke down, and I'm like, "Oh man, I'm not okay," So I was still rowdy as all get out at this time, but me and the guy I was living with at the time, Cody, we started going to church. Started going to Pine Lake out there, because my family went to Pine Lake. And just trying to, I don't know, I guess kind of justify my wrongdoings, and ended up 2009.
So you're kind of living double-minded, really.
Yeah. But I couldn't, I don't know, it got to the point to where, like, because of what happened, a woman was an object to me. It wasn't, a woman was a good time. It wasn't
Yeah.
And
I wanna say something, because because you said something, John, a second ago about kind of living a double life. But I also want to say that, there's the path that we take to get to God looks incredibly different for a lot of people.
Mhm.
And sometimes we do have that, radical deliverance, go to the altar, stand up, I'm a different person, straight and narrow. And then we also have people that I make one step, another step, another step in the right direction. And I think that it's important to differentiate those things, because for people who have been in the church or have had a conversion in that way or have always been in the church, we tend to look at people who are making baby steps in the right direction and say, wow, I can't believe you're still struggling with that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow, you still cuss. Like, oh, you drink on the weekend. And so it's like, it can just rip apart all of the progress that person's making.
Yeah.
And so grace, right, and mercy for the people whose path is taking a little bit longer to get them there.
Mm-hmm.
And for some people, especially with me, it took 30-something years, 33, 34 years.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because throughout my journey, I was always being led to the Lord, and I would go to church, and I like you, I've always felt like I was set apart, and I didn't have a relationship, but when things didn't go right or go my way, I always just went right back to what I knew, which was the drugs and the alcohol. When
What works?
Yeah,
right?
when there was a death, when there was a breakup, when there was any kind of anxiety or stress, that was my go-to.
Mm-hmm.
But in the back of my mind, I always knew that I should be talking to Jesus about this.
And that's one thing. Like when I say I'm blessed, like, oh boy, I'm a blessed dude, and like I am, like, God loves me.
He does.
Yeah, and I'm his favorite.
He just tolerates me.
I'm his favorite. Like, I mean, I argue with anybody. I'm his favorite because I lived this lifestyle and I was crazy and all that, and never been arrested. Not once have I been arrested. And
He
I mean,
does love you.
yes,
10 out of 10
does.
don't recommend. Like,
He-
it's not a good
yeah,
time.
Literally had to have me arrested to keep me from killing myself.
Yeah, and like, and I think which, I mean, this happened not too long ago in the past year. A lot of mindset change to me was you always ask God why, but it turned my why turned into what. Like, God,
good.
what do you want to teach me out of this? What do I need to learn out of this? What are you showing me out of this?
So on that, when you think of, okay, where you're at today, looking back at some of those things that you just told us, like things that happened in that marriage and all, how do you interpret those things today on the other side of things?
Man, with seeing God's grace and just like knowing that he was there and like fighting for me when I wasn't, when even at the times where you're like, man, nothing's going right, and why, God, why do I have this? Why am I living like this? And he's like, bro, I got you.
It also seems like he was wooing you. And
Yeah.
sometimes wooing someone means, I'm going to let you be miserable in the mess that you created for yourself so that you can figure out that
Because
this isn't what.
You have a choice.
Exactly.
You definitely have a choice. And that's one thing that it's just, I don't know. I think that's the worst. That's the worst part about being human.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Having a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. Because we're born into sin with a sinful nature. So I mean, we're born
Born with the cards stacked against us.
Yeah,
really.
you're born attracted to the bad stuff.
Yes.
And it takes moments like when I met my wife that I'm married to now. We had a bunch of the same friends. Matter of fact, in Byron, Mississippi, one night, both sat in Little Wayne's baby mama's car. One night, we both sat in it and never met her. There's a picture from like 2008 at St. Patrick's Day Parade of me and one of her best friends, and she was like in the background. Never met her. Never met her.
And probably thank God for that, right?
Yeah, because it wasn't a time.
Yeah.
And when he did meet us, I mean, we met May 16th, 2009, and we were married by November the 2nd. Now, has it been
Rainbows
Roses,
and sunshine?
yeah,
man? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like,
growing pains.
it was more than that, man.
It
was
sounds
just,
like God was the reason why you hadn't met in those times was like God wasn't just preparing you for her; He was also preparing her for you. And the reason why y'all didn't meet was because it wasn't time.
yeah. And like, man,
Yeah.
we've gone through so many things since. I mean, we're going on 15 years this year.
Well, what happened? Like, tell us some things that happened in this.
Well,
in
like for instance, like I said, I value the word husband.
yeah,
And when I went into this marriage because my last one failed, I'm like, I'm gonna make sure I do everything in my power to make sure this marriage doesn't fail.
you said I'm gonna do everything in my power.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah,
Jordan Owens.
Jordan
power.
Owens. Yeah.
I got you.
So
Just want to make sure.
when we got married, and I would try to do what I didn't do
Mm.
on the first one, or things that I did do on the first one, I wouldn't do in this one.
Yeah.
And because the man, I don't want to say his name
Yeah. And so
on this
Yeah.
Jesus podcast because that's what he wants. But that
I got you.
that guy that
the enemy,
that guy that fell from
Yeah,
heaven like
that-
lightning,
the enemy.
like lightning. Yeah, man, he wanted me to think I was a failure.
Well, he was attacking.
Oh, yeah.
He was attacking.
Oh yeah, and he, man, and that's my whole life.
Steal,
man.
kill, and destroy.
I've always had like approval issues, not issues. It's just as a kid.
Validation.
I
Yeah.
think it's identity. And when earlier I asked you a question about what did you think that you were looking for in the world, and I think that identity is wrapped up in that. And I say that for you because I think it's true of all of us.
Yeah.
I want to know that I matter. I want to know that I belong. I want to know that I'm important, that there's something special about me, that I have a purpose, that I have fulfillment. And we try to manufacture that through what we can accomplish externally, through drugs and alcohol, through relationships, through success, through reputation. But it's manufactured. It's a knockoff.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not real.
Yeah, because he don't want you to know your purpose.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the one thing that I know for sure in my marriage now is that the devil sees something in my marriage that I can't see.
Mhm.
He sees the greatness in it, and he wants everything in his power to stop it.
Yeah.
And he's done a dang good job at trying to, man. But it's like the more he pushes, the more
Mhm.
we, step up.
Greater
And-
is he that is
yeah,
And
within me.
exactly. And we were always from the get go. Me and Whitney are Christians and going to church, but God was never the center
Mm-hmm.
of our marriage. And I didn't realize till probably 6 months ago that like what God made me for is to be a husband.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because we're not meant to be alone. And I truly believe that. And I think that he's going to call me into marriage something.
Can
know.
you say a little bit about what it looks like to have God be at the center of a marriage?
Yes, please.
It's
We got we got inquiring minds wanting to know.
yeah. Because I mean, it's a piece, man. But what it is, it's God teaches us how to do it. And when He says in the beginning that He created man and woman, He created woman for a helper. Which Jennifer Miller, don't strike me down if I say this wrong, but as the Hebrew term for it is azer, and in Hebrew it means supply what you lack.
Yeah.
So God made us to choose somebody that we're completely opposite of. When they say opposites attract, like that's why God puts people together.
Where she is weak, you're strong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And you
we're-
know Jennifer Miller with her brain
Yes.
stuff that she knows.
Now, would you say opposites in like gifts and strengths and weaknesses, but would you say opposites in personality?
I'm gonna say opposite in everything. Number one reason why I believe, okay. I say I believe, but this is what God's kind of taught me through it, is that he came to earth like me so that I could be like him. And in that, I have to have his love, and I have to show his love. It ain't about, I mean, it is about spreading his word, but it's about people seeing Jesus in me and stuff. So if he puts your spouse as your, you become one, that's unity. And that's the hardest thing for the devil to break is unity. So that's what he wants, is you to be unity. So he makes you so far apart that that's the person that you love more than anything in this world, as far as earthly, that if you can make it work with that, then you'll understand God's love. You'll understand grace, forgiveness, and learn how to live in that. And then it'll pour out of you. And I just, over the past year, I've dove into marriage so much, just not just to make my marriage better, but just to why God created us, and what for, and what does marriage look like to him. And,
has that brought you closer to God?
Man,
Yeah.
What
big time.
What have you done in the last year to further that, to being the father, and I mean not the father, but the husband that God intended us to be? Like, if you
Oh, man.
like, did you take some?
You didn't know we were going to ask you all these hard questions today,
did
you?
you take some classes or something? Or did you dive into the
did.
Bible? And
I
did you
did.
type it into Google? I mean, like,
Dude, I tell you what I did. What kind of kicked it off, man, is I'd kind of went like to, because she was done, and I'd kind of searched to how to win her back, kind of thing,
Oh wait, hold on. You said she was done. Y'all were on the verge of a divorce or something. You and Whitney, or y'all
she was whatever the marriage was, it was what it was. She's like, I'm not putting any more work into it. Yeah.
She kind of defeated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was trying to woo her back, kind of, so to speak. But I come across this video on YouTube that, because what I watched, I mean, it wasn't faith-based,
Yeah.
And I saw this one title for a video, and it said, "What to do when your spouse hurts you." And I'm like, clicking on this one, Let me watch this 18 minutes right here. But it was a pastor. It was Jimmy Evans with XO Marriage. And, oh boy, that one changed me. Because it was about redemptive love. And it was about, loving and serving your spouse when they're not meeting your needs at all. It's kind of like praying for your enemies thing,
Yeah.
like you had with Shane. But it blew me away, and I was like, man, have I been doing this wrong? And
You were trying to do everything in your power.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it just, I mean, it still wasn't like, because when I first got into him, man, I was like, okay, I need to. She needs to see this.
It's all about her. Like,
Yeah,
you need this information, not me. Yeah.
And it like I sent her one video one time, and it dawned on me then, like, you idiot, this is for you. Yeah, guy was like, hey, bro, this is for you. So that really, getting to dive into that, my marriage is flourished, and I think because God's done work in both of us.
So yeah, I mean, he's the potter, we're the clay.
Yeah.
He pretty much searched your heart out and did a work in you, and obviously did a work in her too.
Yeah, I had to make a change. A lot of men don't want to change. Nobody wants to change, really.
Unless we're in a lot of pain.
Yes, right. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's either I have to change, I have to. But I think the pivotal moment for her when I had my wreck. When we went back to the scene, she broke down, man, and way she says it, and I'm not giving her testimony. I'm just saying, like she said that she don't trust in God sometimes. Like it's hard to give it to him and just like 100% trust him. But like seeing an 18-wheeler flip that many times and a car being smashed and I took my seatbelt off and walked away. Yeah. It was kind of like, yeah, dang, God's let me know that he does have us. Yeah. You know? So that was the turning point right there. And that was in November. But I mean, I skipped to the very end of our marriage. And we live happily ever after. No. But I feel that, you know, God's going to do something with that. Because, I mean, I don't think I can really minister to single people. Because, you know, a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm in a singles class because I'm lonely and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, and I want to be loved and all that. And I don't feel loved. I don't feel like I'm enough because I'm lonely. And you hate to tell people, hey, when you get married, you're going to feel those things too.
Okay, I have a question.
Yay.
I mean, but I'm just saying, because you go through seasons in marriage, man.
So I,
you know?
Yeah, so I have a question. If you were speaking to a couple that were about to get married and, like, let's say they were getting married tomorrow, what would you say to them to some good advice?
To put God up front, but not only to put God in the middle and like
First.
him be first in it, but put yourself aside.
But what does that look like, though?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
to put God first, what am I doing day in, day out that puts God first? Because I think I hear that a lot, and I think that there's a lot of things floating around out there, many different topics where we say things, but what is it, like, tangibly, practically, what does that mean? What does it look like?
What exactly you're going to have to do to put God
Exactly,
first?
yeah.
What are the
I mean, it's not about, for one, it's about you putting God first, you know, as an individual. And then putting a lot of prayer.
praying together?
Praying together, praying for each other.
Yeah.
You know, if my wife like, oh, I hope I sleep tonight, you know, and I'm like, well, I'll be praying for your sleep. Because I work at night, she works in the day. So she's sleeping she's praying for my sleep while I'm sleeping, and I'm praying for her sleep while she's sleeping when I'm working. So, but it just, I think the main thing is figuring out what God expects out of marriage. Yeah. And he teaches it to you.
Well, I've never been married, and if it ever happens for me, I've got it kind of mapped out in my head I know that it's going to have to be Christ centered. Yeah. Studying the Bible together, praying together every day.
We do Bible plans together,
bringing everything, every issue, every problem, every anxiety, every stressful thing up front, and not trying to bottle anything up.
Yeah.
And things like that. And
well, I can tell you
because I've had long relationships, and I didn't do any of those things. Yeah. And that's why they failed.
And I can tell you one of the craziest things I've learned about it is that the two main reasons you're attracted to somebody is that God does is subconsciously. When you're with somebody, like consciously you're like, oh, she's pretty, she cooks, she does this, she does well for herself, she has a job, whatever,
I'm sorry.
Sure.
Well, I'm saying,
because,
like, she ain't bald headed. Which there's nothing wrong with bald headed people.
We're glad you're here, Danny.
Thank you, Danny.
I meant females.
Jennifer Fraser, she said, God first, family second, career third. Denise Coleman Blackwell said Luke 9:23. I'm going to have to look that up in a minute. Whitney, your wife, she says putting God first in prayer, being in God's word, and serving your spouse, putting your spouse needs before your own.
Ooh, that last part.
That's a hard
part.
That's a hard thing to do.
Putting your spouse needs before your own.
But I'm telling you, it means so much to do that, because that's the kind of love that God gives us. That
exactly what God
is.
And
that's why I think I've been telling myself a lot, and I read one time that it was that God, like I can't be a good Christian if I'm not a good husband, and I can't be a good husband if I'm not a good Christian.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's the biggest thing is me serving her as far as to do it because that's God's will for our marriage is for me to love like He loves and serve her like He with nothing in return.
Yes, that's good.
I mean, it's like being
That's
redeemed,
good.
you know, because redeemed is something that you can never pay back. Yeah, that's why I got it. I mean, it's tattooed down my fingers right there. But.
So what does your life look like today?
Oh man, good. Looks really good.
Listen.
When my clients say that, I'm like, can you rephrase that? Good is not sufficient enough. Give me more.
I mean, it's amazing.
God's grace is sufficient.
It is. It never runs out. Man, just seeing what God's doing and actually realizing what He's done. You know, and he's done more of that through my marriage. Because, and this guy right here can tell you, I mean, there's times that I failed, plenty of times, as a husband, as a father, as a brother, as a friend, you know, that just, you know, all that happened 2016. My dad passed away, lost him to brain cancer, but I got a good 6 months with him, and he was my best friend. My dad, I mean, he was the one, and it just after he died, I tried to do it at first by myself and just like everything
Within your power. You try to do it in your power.
and man, that devil ate me up, and got to drinking a lot, and became like a stale Christian, and I found so much, which is a crazy thing, but I know a lot of people get it. Like you find so much comfort in the darkness because I have such a big heart. I love people, and that's made me really put myself out there. And
I'll say too, though, we find comfort in the dark, but shame grows in the dark.
it does, it does, and you know, man, I just gotten sick and tired of, hey, how you doing? What's wrong? Say, and being a broken record.
Well, you
know?
went through a big bout of depression too, didn't you?
That's when I hit my depression, man, after I lost my dad. And at the time, man, like we had built a house, like the house we live in now. Built a beautiful house, big house. Something I never ever thought I'd live in, you know, when I was back in 8 Mile. But it just, I don't know. It's like I got every single thing to be grateful for. You know, God's done so much, and look where I'm at, and I'm like in this darkness, and they put me on, you know, some medication because I blamed it on my wife for not fixing me because, you know, you don't love me enough to fix me. But at the same time, I realized later, like, she didn't know what to do. She ain't never been with somebody that lost a parent. And so you know, that's where he comes in down there, and he's like, you can't fix me. You can't fix me.
He finds a button and he pushes.
Oh, man.
And he mashes
Oh, he
on
does.
it. And he mashes on it as hard as he can.
He does. And, I mean, he had me, like, I mean, I'd isolated myself so much just from family, friends, my wife, my kids.
Did you have to put on that face though, that mask?
I didn't.
You didn't. You just
Shut the door and
I did,
never
yeah.
came back out.
I did. Because, I mean, I haven't been the person I was before my dad died, since my dad died. And I'll never be that person again. But I'm going to be better.
Amen.
You know?
That's
and
good.
that's the one thing that God's showed me. But in my depression, I'd made some horrible decisions. that almost cost me everything, and nothing but the grace of God pulled me out of that. Like I probably wouldn't even be here, you know. It's just dark, man.
Well,
Like,
let me ask you
ugh.
this. I'm just gonna go ahead and tear the Band-Aid off. Were you serious? Were you suicidal?
Man, yeah. At that time, I still thought I could fix it. Yeah. We split. I left, and then I came back home like the next day. I'm like that's my woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who. Because when I look back at him, that's who God wants me to be with. Yeah, look how God put y'all together, Jordan. And that's what I tell myself. And I'm like, all right, so go back. And then, and at this time, I had turmoil with my family and stuff, man. Me and my brother wasn't speaking. I was isolated.
I know that the intrusive thoughts that come along with that darkness, I know it well.
Yeah.
You've got some of the same scars that I have. I lost my father, and he was young. He was like 55, 56, and he got cancer, and it took him within a year, and it broke me.
Yeah.
But I handled it a little bit differently than you did.
Yeah.
And I put on the mask is what I did.
Yeah.
And I numbed the pain with drugs and alcohol. Mm-hmm. A lot of them.
Yeah.
All of them. And all of that suicidal thoughts. He had, that one, the enemy. He finds that button and he mashes it as hard as he can because he's trying to take you out. And it is, man. It's dark.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
It's
and
dark. And you don't. And that's why you hear about people that you'd never think in a million years commit suicide, like Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Okay, like Chris Cornell.
Chester Bennington.
Chester Bennington, and it just was like, what? That's where I was there.
Yeah.
And I can see that you were that. It is so dark, man. And I just thank the Lord. I thank the Lord for doing what He's done in your life.
Yeah.
And pulling you out of that darkness. And you did say that they put you on. Did they put you on medication?
Yeah.
For the depression. Do you think that attributed to the suicidal thoughts?
Man, I tell you what it did. It made me not feel nothing.
Yeah.
I didn't care what you thought. I didn't care what he thought.
It certainly brings out a personality and turns you into something that you're not.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, and I have to ask you this because I'm a therapist.
No, I'm not right now.
Doctor?
Put the straitjacket
Did
down.
somebody say doctor?
So, well, I mean, and there's this whole debate in the spiritual community: do I take meds or not take meds? If I take meds, does that mean I don't trust God? And I'm not here to necessarily have that conversation, but I will say that the research proves that antidepressants are most effective when they're coupled with therapy. So what people do a lot of the times is they go through a thing or they find out they have some underlying issue and they just go straight to the med. The med's going to make me feel better. It's going to take away all the problems. It's going to fix me. And that's not the case. It has to be coupled with some type of internal work that we're doing at the same time. And the antidepressant is meant to be relief, a breath of fresh air, something to relieve some symptoms while I do the deeper work so that I don't have to take these long term.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'll be straight up. Like, this is the first time I've ever given my testimony on any type of
We're blessed to
platform.
hear it. Thank you.
And this right here is something that I've shared with certain people.
Yeah.
But never, like, publicly at all. But when I had an affair in 2018, and it put me in a deeper depression. It let my shame and guilt.
And I can tell you this, the reason I think, the reason why is because that that God called you to be a husband. And when you stepped out and did that, the guilt and shame that came along with it probably tore you apart.
Yeah, because I based the fact that I was a good husband on the fact that I was faithful.
Yeah.
And
So you're saying there's a little bit more to it than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it
Man, the enemy knows what weapon to form.
Yeah. But we knew something had to be done. And she didn't know. I mean, she knew I was talking to somebody and stuff, but she didn't know that the extent of it. And but we knew we had to make a change and stuff, so we started going to the point, and that's where it all changed.
Now, have you forgiven yourself for what happened?
Yeah, took a long time.
So in 2018, when at your darkest, after your father's passing in 2016,
Yeah.
after the affair, there's something that happened that you told me before we started. You said that and I don't want to tear this up. You said that
Butcher it.
yeah. You said that
You talking about my meeting with God?
yes.
Okay.
These are my favorite parts in every episode.
So the first time we go to the point was in January 2019, the first one of the year. That was also the day that my stepfather died of a massive heart attack. And when I went to my mother's house, like I said, me and my brother and stuff like that wasn't on good terms, but he was the first person to meet me out there. So I felt like God was kind of rekindling some stuff there. But I knew the point was where I was supposed to be, because his death hit me a little different this time. Like when my stepdad passed. Yeah, sad. Oh yeah, man, I miss him. Yeah, but I was already in a depression, and when we started going to the point, it started helping out. And the more we went, the more that mine and my wife's faith grew. She knew that I was lying about my affair. And I knew that if I told her the truth, she was gone. Like, she wanted me to say, yeah, I had an affair, and then she was going to be like, peace out. That's what I wanted to know. Well, that year, we had gotten so, like, each one of our walks, like, with God, had gotten so much stronger. But it was like, the closer we got to God, it was almost like the worse our marriage was getting. Just because it was that huge thorn in it, you know?
Yeah.
And so we're a year in of me hiding the truth and her begging for the truth. And she was praying and praying and praying and praying and praying. And I was like, oh, man, ain't no. And then, sure enough, I was at MEA getting my DOT physical for, truck driving. And I was in the waiting room, and I was praying about it. And it was like out of nowhere. It was like God, like he literally grabbed me by my shirt and like pushed me up against the chair. And he told me right then and there, he said, if you tell the truth, I will restore your marriage. And I ain't even processing it yet. And she's like, come here, I need to take your blood pressure. I start laughing at it. I'm like, I'm finna blow that machine up. Like, you do not understand. Like, I have something I have to do right now. And I knew if I put it off, I wouldn't do it. Because he had kind of put it on me a little bit here and there. But, like, it just wasn't the right time. But I was like, all right, I made the mistake, and I did this. And God's telling me he's going to restore, and I'm going to stand on his promise. I'm going to tell her, and whatever happens, happens. Yeah. And I went. She was at work. I said, come outside. I need to talk to you. And I didn't have to say nothing, because, all I said was everything you accuse me of is the truth. Because she knew. And she was like, all right. And she walked away, and she told me I needed to move out. And that's then is I served her like I ain't never served nobody. Because I knew that I knew God had something in store. And she was like, no, God told me what I wanted to hear, now I'm out. And I was
Yeah, but God told me that He would restore the marriage if I told you the truth.
oh, I know. Yeah. And that's like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, but, telling that to somebody is
Right.
a lot
Yeah,
different,
I get it. I get it.
Like, I believe it, but I don't mean you do. So she had, we had both talked with Jim and Daniel and Lindsay, and Daniel and Lindsay were praying over me every single day. And I'll never forget, she had that Monday, she had an appointment at the lawyer's office, and she prayed that if she wasn't supposed to get a divorce, and I talked to Jim, and Jim was like, yeah, she's gonna go through with the divorce. I'm like, oh, man. Like, so I remember going to my bed and just laying over it crying, but God like picked my head up, and He's like, don't wallow in your shame. And because I got to the point where I was like, all right, you know what, you can have the divorce, but I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving my love to you, because God's going to restore us. And
I think if we had to define what does it mean to put God first, I think that's a pretty good example.
That is a very good example.
Because at that moment right there, He said, no.
That is putting complete trust in God's promise to you, and knowing that He's going to fulfill it, no matter if it takes it a year or even 20 years. It's going to happen, and you had that faith.
Yeah. And He told me right then and there, He said, no, I said I was going to restore this marriage. And she came home, and we sat on the back porch, and I wanted to ask her how it went with the attorney. She was like, yeah, we talked about everything and blah, 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 blah. And she was kind of going over, and I just stopped. I said, I just want you to know that, like, God's not done with this marriage. And tears just started rolling down her face. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Man.
This is so good. I got chill bumps.
And it was just, all the, like, that moment was like all the work and God had paid off, and because it was a struggle, man. And we were 10, 11 years in at that time. Yeah. And we were a blended family. Like I said, I got two from her previous. He's 20, and then I have an 18-year-old, and then she has a 19-year-old, and then we have a 9-year-old together, our only girl, little journey butt. But yeah, so we've had hard times, man, and we struggled, and I mean, we got married on a Monday at the Just of Peace, and then we moved into a house that day. Went and got married, went and got a U-Haul, moved into a house, and that Thursday served my ex-wife with papers, because I had them. I had my kids full time, and I hadn't seen her in like a year, my ex-wife. So we fought years in court, and spent
thousands,
to say the least. But it just got it stayed hard, because there's nothing like going into a courtroom, and like I said, I'm not bashing anybody, but when you're like, all right, Judge, I'm married, we both have jobs, we're doing the best we can with these kids, we're taking them to church, blah, 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 and her urine melts a cup, and they're like, oh, well, she gets more rights.
Yeah.
And you got to pay this much more money, And my attorney, I'm like, wanting to punch him in the face, and he's like, hey, trust the process. I'm like, dude, this process is costing, I'm like, our first year married, man, mine and Whitney, we made $21,000 combined and spent $13,000 in childcare. And you're telling me trust the process?
Right.
I'm like, whoo, but I'm going to tell you, God be doing stuff.
And he do be doing stuff all the time and things.
And man, it finally worked out where she just kind of, my ex-wife, she just quit. And we never saw her again. And then 2020, yeah, she passed away in 2020 from an overdose. But the one thing about Whitney is that she just she stepped in, and the mom that she's been to them, you know, when she didn't have to, and you know, they called her mom since as long as I can remember, and you know, her son, he calls me dad, and it's nothing against his dad. He's just, you know, we're a close family, man, and
It's a blessing.
and even though we've been through some crap, God's always been there, you know, and God's answered prayers, and He's really, yeah. But yeah, one thing that I've learned about community is that you know, God puts people in your circle, and He takes people out of your circle too.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, I thought about it. I was thinking about it last night, you know, like when you left Shane to go eat, and you left him at the church to go hang out with some DJ guy.
Wait,
Enough
did we
about-
talk about that?
Enough
Oh,
about.
no.
No, you missed that episode.
Oh,
Yeah, Shane. Yeah, he left Shane at the church.
I was there.
She
But
was-
you
she-
left him, not me.
Yeah.
She was
Yes.
literally at the dinner that.
Yeah.
I think I'm the one who said, "Where is Shane at?"
Yeah, you were.
Ooh.
Okay.
He was in Palmer's truck on the way home.
Yeah.
Shout out to Palmer. Or no, Palmer's Prius.
Good try trying to change the subject.
But no. But I'm just saying,
I got
like, you know, he could have been John, you're a jerk.
Yeah.
You know.
He kind of was.
But I mean, but he could have been like, don't ever talk to me again and stuff
And-
like that,
yeah.
you know. But sometimes, you know, God puts certain people in your life, and
yeah.
and I'm a firm believer of that. But when I come out of my depression and started really working on my faith, God made my circle a lot smaller. Because for years, man, I'd been in bands, and I mean, I was in a country band for 10 years. It was the biggest thing around here.
Let me tell you something. I know a lot of people, and I say I have a lot of friends, and I do, but my tribe is tight.
Yeah.
And it is small.
Oh yeah, and I think that's, you got to know the people, and I think you got to know that you're gonna be let down at times.
Yeah,
because that's just part of it, you know. And God's put some people in my life that are just, man.
So, go ahead.
I wanted to ask one more question, but I know one of the things that's helped me so much just in my journey, looking back at some of the things that I went through, is to be intentional about finding gratitude, even when it was the absolute worst thing that I could have ever imagined myself going through at that time. And it's still painful in a way to think about today, but I have found on purpose, I have found gratitude for things that it taught me and doors that it opened for me later, and like quality of relationships and joy and things that I can have now because of what I went through then. And so I'm curious if you've been able to have a similar experience.
Yeah, because for a long time, friends were just wanting to get in clubs and free drinks. And 2022, Buddy that you met, you know, I met him, and it was like a brother I never had, because when I would get down or whatever, he would stop me and pray. Yeah. Like, it wasn't just, oh man, it'll be all right, everything's cool, you know, you'll get through it, blah, 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 blah. No, he would pray.
Like true empathy for another person.
And that, having him taught me a lot. And I mean, I have amazing friends, you know, and I have my best friend, Preston, and Buddy. I mean, they're my dudes, you know. I mean, I have a bunch of little brothers and stuff out there, that I call my little brothers, that I'd die for tomorrow. But, you know, Preston and Buddy are two people, outside of my immediate family that, are more than family.
Yeah.
You know,
I get that.
And man, like me and Buddy, we've had some hard. I wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't have made it through 2023 if it wasn't for Buddy. I mean, the week before I went to Cuba last year, I mean, I went straight to my safe and opened it up and was reaching for the gun. And at this point, I didn't care what God wanted to do or nothing, but it was His voice that I heard. It was Buddy's voice that I heard, that I know that God put His voice in my head. That saved me from doing that. And, all glory to God on that.
Yeah.
And, I'd stepped away from the worship team because it got to the point to where it was like, do I need to be a husband and have a good marriage, or do I need to sing and lead people to God? And like, there's a balance you got to find, but at that time, you got to be a husband, and that's what I chose. And
That's amazing.
yeah, and and as much as long as it took me to get to singing in church, because for the last 20 years, I'd sing for Jordan because I wanted to be famous. I wanted to do that, but then it got me so long, and to push myself out of the way and say, when I get on that stage, it's for God.
Let me tell you, I don't know if you hadn't been singing worship that day at the point that on my first visit, had I ever gone back?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't answer that.
And see, and that hurts to know that, to an extent, like to where, like, I haven't done it, and so I did it a couple weeks ago, and I'm doing it on the 17th.
I think balance is important too.
Yeah, it is.
Because I think we tend to be dichotomous in the way that we think about things as just like a human condition. In that I have to do it all. What
you're gonna have to tell my listeners what dichotomous means.
All or nothing. We tend to either we're gonna be there every single time the doors are open, or we're not gonna go at all. I'm gonna be the absolute best at this, or I'm trash. I'm gonna be this is completely and totally the only thing my life is about, or I'm not about it at all. And now when it comes to Jesus, maybe that's a little bit of a different story, and all or nothing thinking is pretty good in that regard. But there are these other things that we find ourselves involved in life. And I think that balance is really important, because I don't have to be 100% my whole entire life wrapped up in one thing. I can have balance to where I can be in something that I care about, passionate about these other things that I'm doing, spend time with my family, be a good worker, be a good father, like balance. And I just don't think that humans, especially humans in recovery, do really well with balance.
Yeah. Yeah, because, that's one thing that leads people to addiction, is that feeling that. And, if you get to, in marriage, or a relationship, you get to feeling that way about that person you dive in, and it's like God wants us to know, like, no, that's when you dive into me.
Yeah.
And then I'll bless those other relationships, because you got to look at it as one statement that has hit me so hard is Judas 8:2. Yeah. And that's like, Jesus knew. Like, he knew that Judas done sold him out, but he ate too, and he loved him still. And that's the know your circle and know that you're going to get let down sometimes.
Yeah.
Because people are human. People going to be people,
Going back to what you said, when God told you that in that MEA, I have kind of a similar story. It happened to me in prison. It was after I had my radical encounter with Jesus. And several months later, and it was almost about Christmas time, and all these guys, I was watching all these guys get these huge, big sacks of commissary, and all these letters and stuff. Well, I didn't have that anymore, because father was dead, mother was dead, sister was dead. I had no family left, and the family I did have left, they weren't doing anything. It's like they weren't there. I'd done burned those bridges, so I was alone.
Yeah.
I got really beat down on myself around that time of year. And God told me one night, in the middle of the night, it was dead quiet, and I heard it just as easily, and I can hear y'all talking to me, is you stay faithful to me and you trust me, and I'm going to restore a family to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And be obedient and all that. And I can tell you, what brought that up was what you were saying about, the close-knit family, that when you were talking about your two boys, your two Buddy and Preston.
Yeah.
It's like the family that he restored to me has, man, I don't know if I can put into words how much they mean to me, and not just so much, they mean, it is a family.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I'm talking about God's promises are true, man. If
Man.
God tells you something, his word does not come back void. He means it. And, but you have to be true. You have to trust him.
Oh, yeah.
You have to stay faithful,
Yeah.
and you have to be obedient for those promises to come true.
And like, it's like, as far as Preston, man, like, we've been friends for a long time. We have, and he's been.
Do you know
We've been through
that there's only one person from my past, really, that is in that tribe. I call it my tribe. But everybody else that's in that tight, close.
Is it like a gang?
Yeah,
I got
it's like
signs
a
and stuff.
black sheep gang. Yeah, it's like black sheep tribe. I don't know what to call it, but every one of them I've met in recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Yep.
Except one.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
And
I mean,
and that one is my best friend who I was with for 12 years. She's
and
my best friend in the
that's
whole world.
Preston, and like, but Preston's family. I mean, they're my family. Like, I call his mom and dad. I call them moms and pops. And Carmen, his sister, that's my sister. I do have a stepsister that I've had for a long time, like 30-something years. But
So let's wrap this up
Yeah.
here.
I was,
Let's wrap this up here.
I can go
So
all day. No, I'm just kidding.
as far as where you're at right now and what you're currently working on for your future, what are you working on?
Well, I'm starting to get back into regularly doing some worship.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'll be doing it 17th.
we're
Life's good.
at the point.
Yeah, at the
I
point.
just want everybody to know it's at the point.
Yeah. I will not be cutting my hair anytime soon.
What you gonna do about that beard?
Man, I don't know, man. My wife, this shameless plug right here, she owns the Chop Shop in Brandon. It's a barber and salon.
Okay.
That's where I get my
Go
hair
see
did.
Whitney at the Chop Shop.
That's right. But man, I'm just trying to better myself every day, be a
Yeah.
better husband, be a better father.
Yeah.
I still, even though he's out of the house and stuff, like, I still, like,
He's like, yes.
I want to be something he can look up to.
Yeah.
I want something that, I got two of them out of the house, actually. One of them's in college.
You're just
and-
setting an example.
Yeah, and, just that, God be doing stuff, man.
Yeah.
That's right.
But you got to put your faith in him. You got to put your trust in him, and you got to put the work in.
Mhm.
Jordan, I want to tell you, man, it's been an honor and a pleasure to
I've
sit,
enjoyed it.
to sit in the studio with you. And
With both of you guys, I was watching
Yeah.
his face the whole time, and I was like, "Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry."
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
brother, this has been one of our most powerful episodes. I can tell you, it's been definitely the longest. And it does not seem like it's been 2 hours. But
know.
brother, let me tell you something. I know that this episode is going to reach the eyes and ears of the people that need to hear it.
Yeah.
I know that it's going to change lives, and I know it's going to bring people to the
Yeah.
Lord.
Yeah.
I
Thank
just
you
know
so
it.
much.
Thank you
Oh,
so
man,
much for
I
being here.
enjoyed it. Heck yeah. big
And
time.
maybe we can get you in here another time. And we love you so much.
I'm always down, dude.
I-
Just know
Yeah.
it.
I know. So thank you so much. Hit by music.